Hi, this is Jennifer Kidd at Westgate High School, and I just want to make sure you guys are all prepared for next year. We do a lot technology-wise. Social studies department was one of the first departments to have Chromebooks, and so the expectation of the district, especially now that COVID happened, is that you guys understand how to do the virtual world. This is one capturing opportunity. It's called Screencast-O-Matic. The district also used Screencast-O-Fi, but I like this one. It works pretty well. It's a free one, and if you pay for it, you can also get upgrades in editing, but I'm not trying to be Martin Scorsese. I'm just trying to make an opportunity to show you guys what to do. So if you come to On Course, that's really going to be a huge aspect of where the district is putting all the materials. And I know that many of you guys have used On Course to upload your lesson plans, but I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with all of the course directory and everything else that we have on here. So here you see the curriculum tab. You go to curriculum tab, and you're going to go to social studies. And you're going to come down to the desired level. So I just want to show you government. You see there's a U.S. history one. And then if you keep going, you will see world geography, world history. So here's government. And in here you'll see the different aspects. So you want to go to planning. The assessments where the pre-mid-terms or the post-test you're going to have to be handed to by your coordinator of curriculum. And that's Julie Watts at Westgate High. So go to planning. And for government, you're going to see something called the quick guide. The quick guide is what myself and Kelly Moore from Niche did. We took the actual scope and sequence of the state, and we edited it down to a 90-minute block. Now we're going to have to go back and use the timing and pacing of the original state document. So again, it's right here in the state document. Over here, if it would say 2 days, should look here at the state, it would say 4, and that's going to align back to a 7-period block. Here's just the standards. You can also find them by writing your lesson plans and clicking on that box like you did with your other core content. These are the academic vocabulary concepts, or what we call the key concepts. These words, these ideas, really are the backbone and foundation of the entire government course. What I do in my government class is, as a bell ringer, my students had to come in. I made this into a PowerPoint. I cut some of them out because it's a crazy amount of vocabulary. It really is. And I teach honors, so I knew there was some that they were just going to have in itself. But I turned this into a PowerPoint, and I gave them their own copy. And every day they had to define certain terms based on the unit we're at. So you can kind of see that there. This right here, the Act 469, is because our state government said every student had to take a citizenship test. And so that's the actual act stating why our pre-test is set up the way we do. So here's where you're going to come to get started of looking at besides Louisiana Believes. It's all right here. Louisiana Believes, there's so many hyperlinks. It gets frustrating sometimes. So I just wanted to show you that was right here. Lesson plans. Now, when I show you guys my lesson plans, I don't want you to freak out. I have been teaching at Westgate High School since 2001. I've taught underneath 3 principals. We have been through many different programs. I never take away something that was brought to the table. I continue to add to it. And hold on a second. I'm sorry. Jobs of being a parent. So here is where I just keep integrating everything. So I'm going to click on to a month that wasn't COVID. Let's do February. Okay, so if you see, I do this because this is how it makes sense to me. This block right here is my first and second block. this is where I was last year at this time. And given spring break and different things, I can tell if I'm behind, I'm ahead. And then here is where I was last week to ensure that I've covered everything I need to cover. Now, I do unit plans. It's a little different. And so you see, again, the expectations, yours is not to have to look like this. And I won't have pacing on mine next year because I never taught a 7-period block. Excuse my dog in the background. But you'll see I have the title of the unit and the lesson. I have our core content and the standards that I'm reaching to outside of the scope of social studies. I have the state claim, which they always would like us to have. I have our questions, my essential questions that I'm trying to get them to answer throughout the whole week and to push forward to that claim. And again, you find all this in the quick guide or the scope and sequence, and then you might actually pinpoint and break down the questions a little bit more. The expectations of the principal is to have a unit title, a lesson plan title, all the standards, to have a claim, and the essential questions on there. Here you see my learning outcome, my objectives. This is high yield strategies, the different things that I will do to make sure my kids can break down the reading aspects. That is not expected for you guys, but it was something that we incorporated along the way. Same thing with the academic vocabulary. That was something we incorporated. We call it key concepts now. That is not always mandated. It depends on the school and the teacher. Then you see my activities, different things with bell ringing, the closure, how I do formative summative assessment, any accommodations and modifications that I do. Again, certain things are listed, other things are not. I don't mind sharing my lesson plans with you guys, but one of the things I say is perhaps you want to get a peer I'll share with you, and then someone else closer to your teaching experience, so that you're not freaking out about the level. I mean, again, every year since 2011, they have not changed the social studies standards, and the scope and sequence changes. So like my activities and things change, but the standards, the claim, and all that stuff's pretty much staying the same. So every year I get to perfect my lesson plans and make them look like this. It's not what they start out to be. And again, next year is going to be a huge growing year for me, and they're not going to look this extensive. And they don't have to. It's what you're comfortable with. Also, I had 2 kids, and so I had to write lesson plans for maternity leave. And so I might have a lot of description and detailedness to my lesson plans for my long-term sub. So I left that stuff in there. It's good. Why take it out? So that's on course right here. That's the expectation. And as you can see, I have all my stuff all the way back to 2006 when we started on course in Iberia Parish. So I want to show you also the expectation. This summer, they will be having virtual and live professional development to make sure you guys are Google gurus. I'm Google certified. I have taken 2 sets of things from an organization called Mobile Mind and the AXI company that does all our Promethean boards and stuff. And I've taken all the courses and got the certificate. And pretty much could have done it without taking the courses, because after teaching with it for a year, you get the basics. So here we call this a waffle. And everybody knows that. And you click on here and you'll see Google Classroom. If you have not made a Google Classroom, please try. You have to see if you're in the system as a teacher or as a student. Most of the teachers in Iberia Parish are listed as students until Miss Candace Myers changes you. So if you come here and it only lets you add a code to be in someone's class, but it doesn't let you create a class, what you need to do is send an email right now to Miss Candace Myers and ask her to change your credentials. The reason for this is going to take a very long time for her to do it, most probably, because she got 1,000 things she's working on. And so the quicker you can make a classroom, the better. What I would like you guys to do, this is a classroom I made for Westgate teachers to learn technology. and I have a ton of cool things on here to help you guys out. So that's what I need you guys to do, your next step to prepare for next year. I need you guys to go to Google Classroom and type in this code, and I'm going to zoom out my page for you. And you might want to pause the video at this point. You need to type in this code, all lowercase. And you should see my purple Westgate tiger. So pause the video. Please do that. Become a member of the best teachers in the world at Westgate. And then press play after you do it. Okay, so at this point you should be back. And you're going to see 4 tabs if you're not familiar with Google Classroom. Stream is like Facebook, Instagram, anything else. It's what's posted there. Once you create a classroom and you allow students in, you can decide how much freedom you give them. That they can only see what you put, that they can comment on what you can put, or they can comment to one another and make their own post. I usually give my kids complete freedom. I explain their rules because it's government. I tell them how the government can take away your rights and freedom, and I usually don't have any problems, and kids usually put pretty cool news articles or things they find along the way that just enriches the class, and it gives kids who finish early something to go. I'm like, hey, I put a cool article about such and such. Go read that if you finish early, so everyone has something to do. Here's classwork. These are the assignments, and this is how you would organize your information. So you'd have unit 1, then you'd have your task information, and however you want to do things right here. So if you look, I have a really cool handout about assessments. I have videos that teaches you how to make a Google Classroom and all kind of other stuff. So I suggest you watch the videos. I have a cheat sheet of cool things for Google from the LQ conference. If you've never heard of that, it's a technology conference. They have November, December in New Orleans for the state, and it's phenomenal. I have some cool tips from Leslie Fisher. She used to work for Apple, and she's a big guru of technology. Some sped tips to help an awesome company called Gimkit that makes these crazy quizzes. They're like Kahoots, but they're so much better. They have sabotages for the kids. Now, Gimkit right now is free and it's open and lets you make as many Gimkits as you want. Each quiz is called a Gimkit. But, normally, when it's not COVID, you get 4 free. That's it, and you have to buy a license. And myself and Miss Miguez bought licenses. We love it. And Edulastic is something that the parish was moving to as of last year. I don't know if we halted and stopped because of COVID. I don't know what money supply, but basically, it is an online test database that is aligned and looks like LEAP test questions with multiple select and the ones that you drag and drop, and you can build tests and quizzes from it. You need a license for the really good stuff. There's some freebies, and so I know that's a thing that Alice and Miss Alice Viator, who's in charge of the social studies, English, foreign language, and PE for the district, and Miss Leslie Stewart, who's in charge of math, science, and a few other things in the district, that was working on. So if you click right here for video lessons, how to make Classroom, how to use this program called Screencast-O-Matic, and then if you click here for assessments, there's a cool handout with all these different ways to assess. So please check this out. And then, let's say, you get all this stuff done, you're good, you feel like you want to keep going. If you go back to the waffle, you notice all the other things. Google Slides, that is the equivalent of PowerPoint. It's free for our students. We no longer have to worry about our students having to pay to access PowerPoint. They could also download the app Slides and make the slides on their phone. Yes, that's hard because it's a little bitty screen, but if there's a will, there's a way. It allows our kids to continue on. Sites, you can make your own teacher website, which is pretty cool. It's something that you guys might be interested in doing. I have a teacher website. I don't want to overwhelm you, but it's free. Makes a really professional website. Google Forms is how I make all my assessments. I'll click on it to show you. After you make the form once, you can edit it however you choose. It can self-grade all the multiple choice for you, and then you just have to come back and add in the grades for the constructor response or extended response. So here's a fine arts test I have.